Welcome to the Pajama Grandma podcast. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, your pajama grandma. And I am with the amazing Abigail Jackson today. And we're going to talk to her about what she does, who she is, why she does it, and some of the challenges she's faced and overcome as she's doing what it is that she does for other people. So welcome, Abigail. It's so nice to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So would you just take a minute or two and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you do it?
Oh, awesome. So I'm Abigail Jackson. I'm a certified health coach. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and graduated from their certification program. I'm in the holistic space, so specifically health because I'm a health coach, but I believe in holistic everything because everything is connected. So it doesn't really matter where you start from, whether it's career or health or relationships or spirituality. Eventually you're going to end up in all four of those areas because those are like the main pillars of life. So I'm starting from the health side. I've dabbled in other areas as well, but health is the one that I resonated with the most because I don't remember how long exactly, but it's been, I'm going to say 5 years as a guesstimate. 5 years ago, I realized that I have hypoglycemia, and I wasn't diagnosed because it's something that is very hard to diagnose, and I've always had a thing about doctors anyway, but I realized that I had hypoglycemia, so I started doing research, and the more research I did, the more I realized that the entire health system is broken, and what people do to make themselves healthy is more often than not hurting rather than helping. And so in my research to become more healthy myself, I found health coaching. I didn't even know that was a thing until I started getting into that world. And then during my program, actually, I was doing the lessons on celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. And we realized that my sister has celiac disease, and she has gone undiagnosed for years and years and years. And because I was able to help her with that, just give her the information, and she went from there, just to be able to put things in a different way, and people see it differently, and it sparks a new idea, and then they get to make their lives better in a real tangible way because of something that I may have said or explained, or I don't do it, they do it. But if I can give them that first little thing to get them started, then they can do, people can do anything if they put their minds to it. So I'm in this to help people get better, holistically, get better in every area of life. I start with health, but we don't stop there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can echo that the medical system is totally broken. I've got a very bizarre medical history, which I'm not going to go into here. Most of the people on my podcast have heard bits and pieces of it. But yeah, you actually, bottom line, have to be responsible for your own health. And there are so many holistic things that you can do. But what I love about what you're doing is there's so much misinformation out there. When I got sick, for not the first time, but for the worst time, I went out and tried to do my own research and look into things. And it turns out that after about 7 years of doing that and all the conflicting information, the things that I was doing that I thought was perfect for my heart health ended up being terrible for my blood and my nutrition and the way my body dealt with nutrients. And so after a little injury, I sprained my ankle at the state park walking. My whole body triggered an inflammation attack, and I've had inflammation problems since my youth. So it had been dormant because I'd been doing things, but I had basically created this toxic situation in my body that made me super duper sick. And this time I found a nutritionist and a health coach like you that happened to be a friend of mine, and she actually turned me on to eating for your blood type, which I'd never heard of. And that so instead of being bedridden for like months or years, it ended up being just like a week or two. And then I started doing the things she recommended, and voila, it was like miraculous. So it's so important to have somebody like you on our side, because when you don't have your health, you can't do anything else. It's sort of the foundation of everything.
For sure.
So in your young life, I'm going to say young life because I don't know how old you are, but you're like decades younger than me. probably younger than my daughter,
Uh,
and my son too. What's a challenge that you have faced? Well, your health, never mind. Don't even forget that question.
no, that's okay. I can go further into
Health,
that.
but is that the biggest challenge you faced in your life so far? I guess that's my question.
That is definitely one of the biggest challenges. And it's the other biggest challenge is relationships. I've been in a couple of relationships that didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. And getting over them is definitely probably the hardest thing, emotionally speaking. But the biggest challenge I've had health-wise was related to relationships. So in 2017, I was in a relationship with a guy who was not the best for me, and we ended up breaking up later. But he, so in my normal job, my day job is a professional pianist. So I teach private lessons 4 days a week, and he didn't think that was enough. So he wanted me to get another job, and I did. And I got a job that he and his mom set up for me at a little restaurant in town. And it was so cute. I have always thought that I would be really good at waitressing, and I liked it at first. But the problem was that I was there from 10 in the morning until 5 at night, and we didn't get any breaks.
Oh.
And as a hypoglycemic, I absolutely have to eat regularly, or I call it going hypo. I don't know if that's the actual term, but I go hypo. Basically, my blood sugar crashes so low that any unnecessary systems start shutting down. And according to the body's fight or flight response, things that keep you alive are unnecessary systems. So because I was working 3 or 4 days a week at the tea room and then not eating on those days, I was in such a chronic state of hypo that I couldn't think straight. So because I couldn't think straight, I stayed in this toxic relationship way longer than I should have, and I should have done something about it much sooner. But I literally couldn't think. All I could do was come home and sleep and try to get up on time for work the next day. And if I tried to eat, then they'd like fuss at me for not taking food out. And I talked to them about it, and I was like, I have to eat. They're like, sure, of course. But then when it actually came down to it, pressures of being in the moment and everything. And so I had to decide that my health was more important than what this other person thought I should be doing. And I decided to turn in my 2 weeks notice, which he was not happy about, which then ended up in us mutually breaking things off. So they're so interconnected that I can't just talk about one, because it really was both at the same time. And that was probably the hardest thing that I've had to deal with to date is, and it's emotional thing of standing up for myself. Really, I had to stand up for myself and say, I know I have to eat, and tough for you, I'm gonna have to eat. And I know that I should quit this job, tough for you, I'm gonna quit the job. And I mean, it sounds really pugnacious to say it that way, and I don't like to rock boats, but you know, health is important, and I wouldn't be here right now if I hadn't stood up for myself and done what I know I needed to do.
Absolutely. That's great. I think all of us, just, you know, if you're over any certain age, we all have those relationships that aren't good for us. I don't know why we're attracted to them, but I'm actually just selling my house tomorrow, which is the final asset that my ex-husband and I still own together. But it's been, years. And I don't know, my family never understood how I got in that relationship, because my husband was super duper controlling, which I don't know, if you know me, I don't seem like the type that would be controlled very easily, which I wasn't, which was, we went like that. Person, but a really bad person for me. And so, I don't know why. Well, I've had 2 kids is probably why, lots of reasons you stay. But at some point you have to say, you know what, this is toxic. It's not good for me. I have to take care of myself and do that, because nobody else is going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself.
Exactly.
You're way smarter than me. It took me several strong wake up health message calls before I finally woke up and said, yeah, maybe I should stop listening to everybody else and I should start actually taking care of myself a little bit along the way. So tell us exactly kind of what you do now. How can people work with you? How can they find you? What do you do? You know, how do you work with people, I guess, and if they want to start paying more attention to their health?
I see. So I'm actually doing like two things at once, which I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm still like figuring out where everybody is most drawn
Okay,
to.
who said you're not supposed to do two things at once? Right?
Well, they're all like, you have to specialize. You have to be known for one special thing.
Yes, but I will give you some advice on that. Women don't have the luxury of doing that. And men are the ones that predominantly give us that advice because men do not have the ability to multitask. They think linearly. Women think like more from a bigger picture and more globally than men do. And we can actually do more than one thing at a time. My philosophy is if we couldn't, the species would cease to exist.
Yes.
Because if you've got a kid and you're cooking and you're working and you're cleaning and you're doing everything, our kids wouldn't survive if we couldn't multitask. So you can have two things.
For sure.
Two things and you love to.
Okay. All right. So the two things I'm doing are a private group coaching program for people with celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. And it's a 3-month program. I don't run it all the time. So you kind of have to be in my circles to know when the next time for that is. And then the newest thing is a online course. It'll be available on demand for stress relief specifically for entrepreneurs. But it's getting down deep into what's causing the stress. So I feel like most of the stress relief self-care system is based around resolving symptoms, like helping you breathe and not have panic attacks. And all of those things are very important. But I don't believe in slapping a Band-Aid on something. I think you need to get down to the root of what's actually causing it. So if you don't get to the root of what it is, and it's just going to keep coming back and keep getting worse until life gives you one of those in the hospital wake-up call moments and you don't have any other choice but to deal with it. And so I believe in finding that before it becomes life-threatening and dealing with it in a respectful and holistic way.
Nice. So where can people get access to you? Do you have a Facebook page or do you have a group or anything that people can find you or follow you?
Yes, I have the Abigail Jackson Health Coaching Facebook page. And then I have a group. I'm just getting it started. It's called Supercharged Success. And that is based around the program that I'm launching right now to help people with stress.
Boy, that's a biggie. I do challenge. I've done challenges around stress before challenges were even a thing because of as an entrepreneur and a business owner, there was so much stress and everything's your responsibility, kind of like being a mom, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, that's really an important program. And I love that you go to the root cause of things for people because just like the medical industry, it's an industry based on treating symptoms, not on actually curing disease. As much as we like to be led to believe and think that it's about curing disease, it's really not. It's the whole thing is based on masking symptoms and prescribing something to cover the symptoms of something, which always creates way more symptoms and way more known effects. They say side effects, but they're really known effects, and that's
side effects. Yeah.
So I'm super excited about what you do and that people can get in touch with you and get help with their health challenges because we were discussing earlier, your health, whether we ignore it or not, it's the foundation of everything. We have to live in this body, so we have to take care of it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
100%.
Well, Abigail, do you have any final words of advice for us? For those of us building businesses, this is a group of people that have their own businesses. If you had one piece of advice to give people with respect to, let's say, reducing stress, because probably most people don't have celiac disease, what would that be?
The simplest thing to make your health better immediately is to sleep more, drink more water, and eat real food. If you can incorporate those 3 things, even to a very small extent, you will immediately feel better. So don't feel like you have to go, all paleo and sleep 10 hours a night. You do not have to do everything at once. Start very small. Just take the very next step that you already know you should do Just do it, and then you'll feel better.
That is fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wish you an awesome day, and we'll talk soon.